Restaurant Radio.
Broadcasting from Chicago, the food and restaurant capital of the world. Restaurant Radio, Dane, Neal, Hannah Stanley, and Flavor HD. Well, the world of music will be convening, everyone will be watching Los Angeles on the 13th of February in one venue in particular, the Staples Center, where it will all take place. The executive chef of the Staples Center, Levy's very own Joseph Martin. Chef, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Chef, how long have you been specifically at the Staples Center?
This is my first year. I actually was with Levy Restaurants at Dodger Stadium previously as executive chef, and then I came back over here around August.
All right, so you've been LA-based for your career.
Most of it. I kind of cut my teeth with the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company way back when, mostly on the East Coast and kind of the Midwest. And then I grew up in LA in Pasadena here. So after doing my tour of duty throughout the Ritz, I came back with Levy Restaurants I had a great opportunity to come back to Staples Center first as the executive sous chef, and then took over the executive chef at Dodgers, and then came back to Staples as executive chef.
So we all know, everybody in the world knows about the Dodger dogs, but
and you invented those, right?
yeah, I wish I had a patent on them.
They are delicious. But at the Staples Center, where you maybe are dealing with a higher end crowd, I've seen those sidelines at the Lakers games. Are you dealing with a healthier menu or keeping focus, or is that kind of the LA way in comparison to stadiums across the rest of the country?
You know what? It's definitely more of a group that is very health conscious, but yet they want to sneak in their nachos and hot dogs on the side. So you really have to balance it both. And what's great here is Staples Center, I believe we have 260 events this year. So every day is going to be different. Every day they come in and they usually want, sometimes they want sushi, organic vegetables and organic meats and stuff. And then some other days they just want a good old Farmer John Dodger dog or a Farmer John hot dog, something that we sell at the arena and stadium. So it kind of varies daily. You just want to stay up on trends and you want to stay up on the innovative side of things and to keep these people interested and coming back for more.
Now, we know, and you've been to a few different places with Levy, but they try to tailor the menu to where they are. For a place like Los Angeles where the food that you describe is just more expensive than maybe the stuff might be in Cleveland or somewhere like that, do you have a different budget, or do you have to go to them and say, hey, this is a really hot item, we want to get this special sushi in from somewhere? Or are you just able to order what you want because you know you need it?
You know what? You still have to be, I think you have to be conscious of just the market today. But also, a lot of stuff, we work so well with our local purveyors, our local farmers and everything. So the things that everybody might think cost a lot of money might not be because they're in season. And we use seasonal varieties of fruits and vegetables. So when you do that, there's always a way to kind of curtail your spending, if you will. So we just look at what's in season and what we get the biggest bang for our buck is.
So with the Grammy Awards that are coming up on the 13th, we've got a huge crowd, obviously. The entire Staples Center is going to be there. You guys are providing food for backstage. You're going to be doing sweets. Are the normal vending stations going to be open? And are you bringing in quinoa for that night? Or is it just going to be like a Dodger dog, like normal?
Oh, no. We have everything. We have nopales coming in, different baby portobellos, making our own crab arancinis. I mean, we got a bunch of different stuff that we're doing, from Honeycrisp apples that are seasoned to spiced pecans to watercress and endive salad to artisan honeys and fresh fruit. There's just so many different varieties of food that we're going to serve, and it's just it's great to be a part of it because it's like you're serving Thanksgiving, Christmas, and Easter all in one day.
Yeah.
Chef Joe, he takes it in stride. Like, that's just the way that it should be. But I have to tell you, like a Blackhawks game here, we don't have a lot of those same items. Now, you got to think, sports crowd, even though at a typical Lakers game, there's probably more celebrities there than there is at a celebrity event anywhere else in the country. But this is going to be a different crowd. I mean, do you have, and if you're doing baseball games, you can kind of get used to the flow of it, or some of the basketball games, you get used to the rhythm of it. For these big one-off events, what's different about those, and is there a lot of pressure on that?
I don't know. I don't know if pressure is the word. I think pressure is raising my 3 kids. But for stuff like this, I think it's just all about planning. My team here, we've started 3 months ago planning for this Grammys, and we start researching and trying recipes and, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. So we just put all this planning and all this hard work together, and kind of the day of the event, you're almost like relieved that it's here so you can see everything come to fruition and bring it all together. So it's actually not, the nerve-wracking part has been the 2 months prior. The day of the event, you just kind of sit back and have fun and watch everything come together.
Chef Joseph Martin, executive chef with the Staples Center. You mentioned earlier that the Staples Center, of course, out in LA, has 260 events this year. How many of these are not necessarily the same caliber as the Grammys, but are more special, would cause you to plan 2 months in advance?
Well, I don't know if anything is nearly as magical as the Grammys. I mean, Grammys are just something that, that I'm very privileged in my career to actually be able to do, and hopefully I'm here for a while to do more and more of these. But I think Grammys are just unique on its own. I mean, besides the backstage catering, besides our 166 suites we have here, every suite is like its own party, and then doing our VIP parties upstairs. There's really nothing that compares. The only thing that probably gets really similar is when the Lakers make the finals and win the championship, and then you get kind of fun and crazy with that.
Well, and that happens often enough that it's almost like old hat.
So we'll see. Maybe it's the Clippers' turn this year. We'll see what happens.
Well, from your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah.
Typically for some of these big events, and you have to have a lot of celebrities there, oftentimes we'll ask, if there are any strange requests or if there's any celebrity you want to see. But a thing like the Grammys, where you have the scope of performer that is all different ages. You'll have everything from teen superstars, maybe a Justin Bieber, right? And then you may have the dietary needs of an Aretha Franklin, right?
Right.
I mean, have they hit you with anything that is kind of nothing's difficult, you can handle it all, but that's unique?
No, I mean, I guess I'm not sure what the word is, but I guess I'm numb to it now because I've had tons of requests. You got to make sure you have a lot of candy on hand because young or old, there's always candy involved in everything, and just good fruit. Fruit is a very big part of everything here we do. So it's always having fresh, like organic fruit around. But, I take everything in stride because everything changes every day. And that's the fun part is, you do all this planning and you still know that something's going to change on you and something pops up. But that's how you roll with the punches. And that's what keeps the job interesting and fresh.
I think we just identified the big difference between the LA stadiums and the Chicago stadiums. You guys need fresh fruit and we look for fresh sausages.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you've never had a fresh sausage. I mean, you're just not living. We also like to and love the stuff that Levy does, and it is so interesting, the different kinds of events and the different kinds of fans that eat the food that you guys prepare. But we also like to go into the background of the people behind it. I mean, here on the show, we interview like everybody from the biggest, most famous television food stars to just local guys doing it right. But one thing they always share is the passion for what they do. That they're in the food business, they're in the chef and culinary business. They wouldn't be doing anything else. Tell your story for those people out there that are listening, how you got to be where you are today.
Well, it was always part of my family kind of culture. When I was growing up, my grandfather owned one of the biggest menu printing companies here in L.A. And so I used to go around with my grandfather and my mother to all these different restaurants and sitting back with the executive chefs, not dining in the front with all the other guests. I would sit back on milk crates with my grandfather and the chefs while they sit there and talk. We used to sit on milk crates and eat lunch and dinner and everything. So it always was in my blood. And it took me a while when I was not doing well to be an accountant. I said, okay, well, maybe that's not my cup of tea. So I ventured out, and I was my first job was at the Ritz-Carlton in Naples, Florida. And once my first day on the job, I had to open 500 oysters, and I thought, oh, my goodness, what did I get myself into?
Yeah, that's a lot of shucking.
But, but the second day I came back for more. I couldn't move my hands, but I came back for more. And it was always a part of me, and I'm very blessed to have such a great profession to be a part of because it's let me see a lot of different things in this world, and I've just been lucky and blessed.
That's one of those things. You look at the menu every day, and I never really thought of someone owning a company that did that. So
somebody's got to do it. That's how Chef Martin.
Yeah, now they have computers for everything, but it was quite. I even have old menus from all my grandfather. It's just funny to see how they served abalone and all this crazy stuff. Not crazy stuff, but back then it was, common practice. And you look today, and especially the prices are kind of funny.
I bet.
Yeah.
And what a neat cultural history of the industry.
Yes, it is. And I wish my grandfather was around, but he had so many great stories to tell. And usually have so many restaurants here, like and they're family owned and operated, and you don't see that anymore as much as we would like. It was just the stories he told about why he did menus certain ways and how they came up with logos, and trying to tell the story about the food to the guests before they sat down. It was just great, and so I was just fighting it. I guess I was always destined to be a chef.
Well, I mean, it has to almost have been in art form, because you'll have chefs that are great at what they do, and they're great at preparing the food and making the food. And then you have to have somebody that can sit down and know enough about all sides of the business to be able to translate that into something that in just a paragraph, that someone that's a diner can read it and be, you want to say, inspired to order that dish. Something that truly does it justice, and that's an art in and of itself.
Oh, I totally agree, and I think you need to tell a story, and I think that's why people even go to dinner, I think, a lot to be entertained. And when you go to dinner and you first meet your guests and you meet your host and your waiter and waitress, and you sit there and you get the menu, it's almost like reading or watching a movie on the story, and you see everything kind of come to life. And I think that's the initial thing. And I think people want to be entertained. And even our menus for our Grammys, like you should see glam and the rock opera. There's always some light behind it, and there's some vibrance into how we're describing certain dishes and play on words. I think you need to take it from the start to finish. It's all about the food, and it's all about how you describe it and how you present it and the story behind it.
Well, coming up on February 13th, a lot of the entertainment, but not all of it, is going to be happening up on stage. Many things of entertaining nature are going to be happening on the menus of the people there. Some will win, some will lose, but all will be well fed due to the efforts of the executive chef at the Staples Center, Chef Joseph Martin. Chef Joseph, I can't thank you enough for being in the show.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Restaurant Radio.